Guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Here we are. Here we go. It's just after high noon. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Hope your Monday's going well so far. We've much to do over the next 3 hours, and we have just about that amount of time to do it. Just less than 3 hours, 175 minutes, if I am to be precise. It is episode 569 of our proceedings today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am excited that you've decided to be here. I'm excited to relate some of the stories that are going on and get your opinions and opine on said same. 615-737-9986 is the telephone number. That is also the location of the Members Nutrition Super Text line. And if you want to share thoughts about the news of the day, offer your opinions, speak truth to power, that's the way to do it. 615-737-9986. And there's much to do. Obviously, Trump trial is reaching a crescendo in New York City as Michael Cohen has taken the stand for the first time. He did so earlier this morning, and I don't know if they're on break or what. Let's go over here to hashtag Never CNN. I watch this garbage, so you don't have to. Trump hush money trial, although Stormy Daniels last week testified that it wasn't hush money. The jury is currently hearing from, or I guess the testimony is to continue soon. Perhaps they're in a brief break. Michael Cohen, a known liar and criminal, is taking the stand. He's the star witness for the prosecution in the case. And for those of you not paying a lot of attention, I don't blame you. And that is the end of that sentence. But for those of you who wish to get caught up in all of this, I can catch you up with a fair amount of simplicity. So we'll do that today on the show as we get things underway during the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour. We also have Joe Biden slamming our allies. I missed this last week. I was out for a portion of the week last week going to my niece's graduation. And so I missed this story when it originally came around. I caught it over the weekend. There was some blowback over the weekend regarding Joe Biden slamming our allies as xenophobic because they won't open their borders in the same fashion that he's opened our borders. We're not talking about China and Russia, although he mentioned those countries as well. You know, I would suggest one of the very few things that China does correctly is monitor who comes in and who goes out of their country. One of the very few things that Russia does correctly is to monitor who comes in and who comes out of their country, to ensure that they don't have some of the same issues that come about when you have free and open borders, like, the Biden administration and the United States of America, particularly on our southern border. I was speaking with Congressman Andy Ogles over the weekend. I was at an event in which he attended and spoke. I actually emceed the event. It was for Americans for Prosperity Saturday morning in Spring Hill at the Big Bad Breakfast down there. And Ogles was there. Scott Sapicki was there. Jack Johnson was there. Joey Hensley was there. A couple of senators and a representative from the State House, and then Congressman Ogles. And he made mention of this, that they recently ran out of his office a poll for 5th Congressional, I think he said this, for the 5th Congressional District, his district, as to the number 1, number 2, number 3 priorities coming up in the 2024 election cycle. And the number one priority is our southern border and the dangers that involve the open nature of our southern border, whether they be terrorism or gang-related violence, fentanyl, and drug overdoses that result from the infusion of fentanyl in the United States of America. Number one issue, the southern border, on the minds of the people of the state of Tennessee. Number two, obviously, the economy. Well, I'm not going to give you a break because you won't give us a break at the grocery store, Mr. President. So we'll delve into that, southern border politics, etc., and Joe Biden's xenophobia more specifically. I have some incredible audio from Donald Trump over the weekend. His rally was just through the roof. I don't know of another political figure that could expect to get near. The first figure I heard was 80,000. I've heard as many as 100,000 now. I don't know what the real figure is, and I'm horrible at that sort of thing. And I don't trust the outlets that report on them, because the anti-Trump outlets will report a woefully low number if they report on it at all. And frankly, they haven't reported on it at all. The Republican candidate for president of the United, let's just take the middle figure. Let's say it's somewhere between 80 and 100. Let's say it's 90,000 people. The Republican candidate for president of the United States of America went to a blue state in New Jersey. Belle K, not that I've mentioned you today, but I'm going to get you to work for me, and then I'll say your name. Will you please fact-check me on, hey, Belle.
You already said my name.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I forget moment to moment what I say on this radio show. How are you?
I'm good. Did you have a good weekend?
I did.
Fun at the steeplechase?
Steeplechase was big fun, had by all. I'll talk about that a little more later on. So I need you to fact-check this for me.
Yep.
I'm going to guess the last time that the state of New Jersey went for a Republican was Ronald Reagan in 1984. That is what I'm going to guess. Now, the danger here is that in 2004, we were close enough on the heels of 9/11, and George W. Bush was getting great marks on 9/11. Maybe George W. Bush took New Jersey in 2004, but I doubt that. But I'm going to guess that the last time that the state of New Jersey went for a Republican was 1984, and I'll let you do that one way or the other. If you don't understand how almost every major media network, and by the way, I don't blame partisan programming for being partisan programming. I would suggest to you that this is not an objective radio show. But I don't hide behind any sort of veneer of objectivity. I admit my subjectivity, but in return, what I give you is your opportunity to speak about anything of your choosing on the radio or on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. You have value, too, in the public arena. And so we want to talk with you about these things. I don't remember the last time that I have denied a legitimate interview opportunity, this microphone or this room. Anyone is welcome, from Joe Biden to anyone. Anytime Senator Heidi Campbell wants to come back on the show, she's welcome to come back on the show. That's what we do on a regular basis. So if you have any illusions that some of these networks that claim objectivity are being objective, I'm going to disabuse you of those illusions coming up in just a moment. Belle K is my answer.
HW against Dukakis.
In 88?
88, correct.
Well, there you go. Well, you go, HW. How about that? New Jersey has not gone for a Republican candidate since 1988. George W. Bush. Wait a minute. Was that Michael No.
Yeah, it was Dukakis.
It was Dukakis, I guess. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right, because he went over to Germany and got in the tank. Remember that? He was a short guy. And if you look up Dukakis tank photo, you'll see it. It's very, very funny.
And if you look up Dukakis monkey business, you'll get a much better photo.
I don't recommend you do that at work. I don't know what you're.
Well, it's just him and that woman sitting on his lap.
Wait, is that no? You're thinking of Gary Hart. No, it was Gary Hart.
It was Dukakis.
No, it was Gary Hart.
You sure?
Wait, before you look it up, I'll bet you. You want to bet?
Sure.
Okay, what do you want to bet? Soda? Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, no, Diet Pepsi.
Oh, you can have a Diet Pepsi. I'll have a Diet Dr. Pepper.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, very good. Look up Monkey Business, and you'll see that it was Gary Hart. Monkey Business was the name of the boat, and I'll have my Diet Dr. Pepper chilled on ice, please. Thank you very much. The media is not playing this fair. We already know that. it is fascinating to me, the links that they are preparing to go to.
I'll be right back with your Dr. Pepper.
The only reason I remember that is I remember what Dukakis looked like. And he had those big-ass caterpillars on his face that he called eyebrows. Yeah. There's no way a hot chick is sitting on that lap. There's no way.
See, and I didn't even remember the photo correctly. I thought they were on the boat and they're sitting on a pier or something.
What's her name? Jessica, was it Hahn? Oh, I get them mixed up.
No, Jessica Hahn was...
Ollie North.
No, what's her... the televangelist with the woman, the wife that wore just so much makeup that she supported the industry.
Tammy Faye Baker.
Yes, thank
Jim
you.
and Tammy Faye.
Yes.
That was Jessica Hahn?
Yeah.
Okay. Who was the Oliver North chick that...
I can't.
We're like we're two old men on a front porch whose memories have failed them. Just rocking in our rockers, drinking our Jack Daniels, and talking about olden times. Yeah. Remember back in the day when Gary Hart was pulling that hot chick on Monkey Business?
The hookers we had were a lot better looking.
I have yet to pull up the members' nutrition super text line, but
I'm sure Jason's commented already.
Yeah, I'm afraid to see it. So, the point being this, it is only going to be amplified as we move from May to June, from June to July. We have the RNC in July. The DNC comes a month later in August. And as spring becomes summer, be prepared for anything and everything possible to attempt to diminish the impact of the Trump presidency, to diminish the impact of his campaign, to diminish the negative impacts of the Biden administration, and to try to elevate Joe and to de-platform Donald Trump. Once this situation in New York flames out, all focus will be on attempting to categorize Donald Trump as Adolf Hitler. I mean... Donna Rice is who Rice.
That's what I was about to say.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get in front of you there. Donna Rice was her name. Jason says it was Jessica Lansbury. You're a sicko, Jason, which is why we like you.
Frances Bouvier.
What was her name on the... What was her name?
Abby?
Jessica. No, Jason said Jessica Lansbury. He means Angela Lansbury. Jessica Fletcher was her name on Murder, She Wrote, Jason. When you want to make weirdo, sicko, sexually charged comments about Angela Lansbury, get her name right, would you? I mentioned right at the end of the Chris Hand show that the youngster portion of the broadcast day was ending. So here's the point. Donald Trump brought in, let's call it 90,000 people in a blue state that has not voted for a red president since 1988. That's 40, it's been a long time. 36 years? 90,000 people. Does that mean that New Jersey is ready to vote for Donald Trump? I don't think so. But it means something. I was speaking to someone, well, it was at the event I just told you about Saturday morning before I headed off to the steeplechase. And I mentioned this. The leftist, elitist media cabal that exists in New York and Washington, D.C. and doesn't believe that the rest of the country truly exists until you get to California. They can lie to you about a lot of things. They cannot report on Donald Trump's impact in New Jersey. They haven't reported on it. They've pretended as if it didn't happen. They can lie to you about the economy all they want. They can lie to you about the southern border and its impact in the United States of America and who's at fault. They can lie to you about what's going on in Israel and in the Gaza Strip. They can lie to you about Russia and Ukraine. They feel like they can lie to you about our relationship with China. They can lie to you about COVID-19. They can lie to you about all of these things. You know what's hard to do? It's hard for them to lie to you about your wallet or your pocketbook. It's impossible for them to explain to you in a way that you will believe that you're better off economically now than you were 4 years ago, prior to COVID. Prior to the governments of the various states of the United States of America shutting this country down and attempting to destroy our economy as a result. They cannot lie to you about the price of milk. They cannot lie to you about the price of eggs. You see these things with your own eyes. You know them not to be true. Now, if you are a dyed-in-the-wool, tree-hugging leftist from way back, then you will find a way to convince yourself that none of that matters. You'll find a way to convince yourself that it's not really Joe's fault. But that is a minority of this United States of America. And most of us, as we watch these lies regurgitated on a daily basis on ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNBC, and hashtag Never CNN, and on the pages of the New York Times and the Washington Post and all these other liberal mullet rappers, each time you hear them regurgitate the lie about the economy, understand that if they're lying about that, they're lying about the other things too. And they do it for a purpose, to further an agenda. They are all in on the agenda of fundamentally, this started in 2008. Well, it didn't really start then, but it took on a lot of head of steam when Obama became president and said the quiet part out loud that he wanted to fundamentally transform the United States of America. How do you do that? You have to blow it up so you can rebuild it in an image of your own liking, a centralized government. What does this have to do with Donald Trump? It has everything to do with Donald Trump because he's in the way. And regardless of his personal failures, which are on display in a courtroom in New York City right now, he represents something bigger than himself. And this is a fact that the leftist media never chooses to understand or grasp or just simply can't. That any personal attack against Donald Trump, we don't care about any of that because he represents something larger than himself. He represents someone that is big enough and willing enough to tackle and take on a deep state that is invested in transforming the United States of America and taking away rights and liberties from the individuals in this country and handing control to a centralized form of government. So expect it. It never ceases to surprise me. And I never want it to cease to surprise me. But expect it. There should at very least be stories about the impact that Donald Trump made in New Jersey over the weekend and what that means. The New York Slimes ran a poll in which Donald Trump is leading. Now, you know me and polls. I believe polls are as good as the paper they're written on the day that they're written, okay? The reason that, and Brian and I talk about it from time to time during the cross, Brian Wilson of The Drive, and, I'm not against polls in as much as they are a snapshot in time. What concerns me is that people will sit back on their laurels and they'll rest well thinking that this poll matters in November. It does not. What matters is that we are as motivated as humanly possible to tackle and take on a machine that is willing to do anything, to lie, to steal, or cheat in order to achieve their victory. And so it does matter when they refuse to report on it. It does matter when they come out with a poll that indicates that Donald Trump is ahead in every battleground state. And Donald Trump believes that he can make New Jersey and New York competitive. I don't know that I believe that. I think he can make them more competitive than anyone since the aforementioned George H.W. Bush in 1988, pardon me. It is 12:23, just getting started. I am loaded for bear this Monday. We've lots to do, lots to get into, and I'm excited to speak to you. 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN, either on the membersnutrition.com super text line or our telephone line. Just getting underway. Libertarian Lunch on The Murphy Show. Hey friends, Matt Murphy for Defense Systems, a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee that I've been telling you about for some time now. Defense Systems have clients all over the state, all over the country really, including schools, corporations, healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing facilities, corporate headquarters, entertainment venues, country music tours, and so much more. Their goal is to consult on security design and readiness for any of your projects or any of your residential projects or corporate facilities, commercial buildings, school systems. They provide custom protection solutions unique to your particular location and your particular needs. That's a fancy way of saying this. It's a dangerous world. We understand that. We see it on the news on a regular basis. Hope is not a plan. We need to get prepared. And in order to be prepared, you need to have this information provided by Brink Fiddler and his team at Defense Systems. I've been in multiple courses taught by Brink Fiddler and his team, and I cannot recommend them enough. Go to defensesystems.com. If you're a decision maker at a school, at a church, at a place of business, anywhere where people gather, it is time to get trained from Defense Systems. DefenseSystems.com or 615-236-6484, 236-6484 for Defense Systems. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
If you have pain anywhere on your person, on your body, whether it is soft tissue, that would be muscle-based pain, or spinal in nature, I have the solution for you, and it comes in the form of the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. For well over 30 years, a long time, Dr. Gill has been around in Franklin, Tennessee. Anywhere within the sound of my voice is well worth the drive, or at least a telephone call. Schedule that appointment today for $49. Here's what you're going to get. You'll come into the office. They will sit down with you. You'll have an initial consultation. We'll talk about where exactly you hurt and how long it's been going on, whether or not it's spinal in nature or muscular in nature, or whether you know. Then they'll go through an examination with you. They'll give you x-rays. They'll go over the findings of those x-rays, and then we'll develop a plan of action that's going to succeed. Now, you'll have your initial visit right there that day. You'll have your initial consult, your x-rays, and then they'll go ahead with that first visit, and then you'll experience some pain relief. I'm telling you, folks, it works. The Dr. Gill Center does all of this without the need for pills, without the need for needles, and certainly without the consideration for surgery. But that's what it's all about. Don't take a pill. call Dr. Gill. It's more than just a slogan. It's a mantra of theirs at the Dr. Gill Center. So if you have back pain, neck pain, hip pain, knee pain, elbow pain, anywhere that it hurts, get with the modern technologies that have been brought to Middle Tennessee by the one and the only, the Dr. Gill Center. Call them today for an appointment. 615-882-4838. 882-4838 for the Dr. Gill Center. Don't go with imitators. Go with Dr. Gill. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've yet to get to some of the ridiculous protests happening over the weekend at a variety of college campuses. The college campus craziness continues. Did you see what happened at Duke?
They win a basketball game?
Y'all explain to me how this is anything other than anti-Semitism. Jerry Seinfeld. Everybody know who Jerry Seinfeld is? Mm-hmm. Jerry Seinfeld was asked to speak at a commencement address or at a graduation ceremony at Duke. And as he was taking the stage to offer his address, a group of pro-Hamas, I don't say pro-Palestinian because that's not what this is anymore. I don't know what you mean when you say Palestinian, and until I have it explained to me, I'm going to get right down there where the goats can graze on it. You are supporting Hamas. You are supporting a terrorist organization that slaughters people as a rule, not as an exception, not as a mistake. If you want to understand the fundamental core difference between the two parties that are fighting right now in the Middle East, let me explain it to you. Does the IDF kill civilians? Yes. When they do, they consider it a tragic mistake. Does Hamas kill innocent civilians? Yes, they do. And when they do, they consider it a huge victory. There's your difference. There's the moral difference. There is no equivalency. So pro-Hamas supporters stood up and left the stadium when Jerry Seinfeld stood to speak. He was not there to offer an address about Israel. He was not there to offer remarks about the conflict in the Middle East. He was there to commemorate the graduation of students at Duke. And those assembled left on purpose when he stood up for a reason, and that reason was that he is Jewish and that he has a difference of opinion than they do about this conflict. It's gross. It's disgusting. And it needs to be called out forcefully. I am an equal opportunity offender. I hate everyone equally, without regard for your race, sex, ethnicity, national origin, color, or socioeconomic background. We need more Matt Murphys in the world. 1232 on Super Talk.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system.
Hey, coming up later on, less than a month from now, I almost said later on this month, but it's technically June 1st. Not technically, it is June 1st. Saturday, June 1st, the 4th annual open house at the Glock store. Now, they are on Airlane Drive. That is just off Elm Hill Pike. You can find them from anywhere, and it's worth the drive from anywhere right now, today. But if you're marking your calendar, do this. Mark it down for not this coming Saturday. I shouldn't try to do the math. I think it's 3 Saturdays from now. I think that's right. June 1st is when it is. From 10 a.m. until Matt Murphy will be there. Chris Hand will be there. Dan Mandis will be there, but that's not the important part. They're going to have giveaways and raffles. They're giving away a $1,700 Glock. They're giving away optics and night sights. I mean, it's an incredible amount of giveaways happening. And the raffle, all you have to do is be there. And you don't have to be there to win. As a matter of fact, you just have to be there to sign up. And you can win the $1,700 Glock. So go to Glockstore.com to find out more about this. I encourage you to go by today to see the incredible accessories that you can have, to see the customization that they do on site with their gunsmiths, and to see the beautiful facility that is the Glock Store. Glockstore.com or shoot270.com, and mark your calendars down for the big 4th annual open house, June 1st, Saturday morning, starting at 10 with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Glock Store.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Radio Show continues. It's 12:37. Pleased to have you with us on this Monday edition. Bell K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as possible. I just realized something. I got so ahead of myself that I did not properly introduce Bell, nor did I properly introduce the show. It is episode 569 of the proceedings today. You can find us, obviously, on your radio dial at 99.7 FM, 100,000 watts of blowtorch power. You can also find us anywhere that you stream music or spoken word or information, and obviously, we're some of those things, all of those things on some cases, or on some levels. You can find us anywhere that you stream things. Just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN, and you'll find us. And if you don't, let me know, and we'll get on those platforms. I'm talking about every platform where podcast or music or information is available. And then we have our own app. You can download our app and take us where you go. And there's the television side of things. Supertalk TV is up and running. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. For those masochists in the listening audience, brought to you by our good friends at US Pest. And the chat feature brought to you by F&M Bank. Episode 569. where Bell K refuses to participate is entitled.
Matt Murphy reminds you, build a man a fire and he's warm for a few hours. Set him on fire and he's warm for the rest of his life.
It's true. It's good. Your titles are, I've noticed, better right after a nice weekend.
Yes. Sometimes I think the creative juices are going a little better.
Careful contemplation with your cats. So
And spicy. Don't forget spicy.
Oh, and spicy. My apologies. I always forget spicy. I do have a question about where we are. It's more of a broad question. It doesn't have anything to do with the particular nature of the Trump rally this weekend, but the thought occurred to me. I was having a conversation with someone about Marjorie Taylor Greene and her effort to oust the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and how I understand why there's so much frustration and there's so much feeling that the Republican Party has failed us on so many levels, because I'm right there with you. I do believe. I've never identified as a Republican. I never will identify as a Republican. I don't identify as a libertarian, really, although I believe in the libertarian philosophy of government, which goes a little bit further than the Republican/conservative philosophy in as much as your individual rights are concerned. Even if my neighbor is doing something that I believe might be against my basic core beliefs, my principled philosophy of life, my personal ideology, my spiritual or religious beliefs, as long as they're not depriving others of their right to live a life of their choosing, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, then I believe they should be left alone and not be forced to comply with my way of thinking. That's my basic philosophy of government. And I understand when you get down to where the goats can graze on it with regard to individual issues, you have to ascertain when human rights begin and when they end, et cetera, et cetera. But in so many ways, I mean, as I have gravitated to conservatives and to Republicans over the years with my vote, in so many ways I believe they have failed me. Maybe not so much the conservative philosophy, because I think that remains resolute, but the Republican Party. The question then occurred to me over the weekend. I hear a lot about this. I mean, you hear so much rhino, rhino this, rhino that, rhino, he's a rhino, she's a rhino, they're a rhino. And you hear it so much it doesn't mean anything. Rhino has come to mean they said something that I disagree with and they call themselves a Republican, so I'm going to call them a rhino. One of my favorite parts of what I do on a day-to-day basis with you on Super Talk is to get called a rhino. I get called a rhino certainly on a weekly basis, and sometimes it feels like on a daily basis, which is always funny to me, and I always have a big laugh with Bell K about it because I've never claimed to be a Republican, and so I don't know how I can be a Republican in name only when I've never named myself a Republican.
It shows you how ingrained this two-party mentality is.
Right.
That if you're not a Democrat, that means you have to be a Republican. And if you're not a Republican, that means you have to be No, I don't have to be either one if I don't want to.
I don't have to be anything other than me.
Yeah.
I'm a fierce individualist. I long have said that I would not belong to any club that would have me as a member. Thank you, Groucho Marx. That said, while it is not my club to judge necessarily, because I do support them and I do vote for them on so many different fronts in so many different elections and support them in so many different ways, the question occurred to me over the weekend, for those of you who do identify as Republicans, for those of you who are bona fide Republicans within the party, or certainly conservatives in such a way that you vote for Republicans on the regular, have Republicans failed us? Doesn't it seem like they have? Is that a question that needs to be asked now? Or perhaps, is it a question that would be better asked after November? I believe the answer to my question is obvious. Considering where we were, just to pick a moment in time, it's 40 years ago, so why not? 1984. In 1984, I was 11 years old. In 1984, Ronald Reagan was running for his second term as President of the United States of America. Consider where we were then and where we are today. And I don't know how you cannot say that the Republican Party has failed conservatism, that the Republican Party has failed the people of the United States of America. Now, if it is truly a binary choice, I always add a syllable. It's binary, right? Binary, not binary, binary. If it's truly a choice between one or the other, then obviously the choice would be the Republican Party. But increasingly, I hear from people who tell me that they are sick to death of picking between the lesser of two evils. Increasingly, I hear the term uniparty. And if enough people are suggesting that there is, as the late George Wallace said, not a dime's worth of difference between Republicans and Democrats, which I don't necessarily believe, but if that is the public perception, then it begs the question, why are we not starting something new? Why has not the Libertarian Party needs to get off the dope and the hookers, man, and take advantage of this. You know, I pick on the Libertarians because of the dope and the hookers. Although we functionally, from a rights perspective, agree on those points, I would say this, that sadly, if you want to see a political movement that eats itself, go look at the Libertarian Party. If you want to laugh about the concept of rhinos and, you know, one Republican calling another Republican a rhino and the other Republican calling that Republican a rhino, go sit in a meeting of libertarians and watch them. Because one of the truest ways, and Bella and I have talked about this over the years, one of the truest ways of understanding that you are a libertarian, I mean, you're not really a libertarian until somebody tells you that you're not really a libertarian.
Well, it has to be another libertarian telling you that you're not a real libertarian.
I mean, it's their way. I mean, they were doing the rhino thing long before the rhino thing was a thing.
Yeah.
Well, you're not a real libertarian because you don't believe this.
And in defense of the party, though, it is extremely easy for collectivists to get everybody on the same page. It is not easy for a group of individuals to sit in a room and decide en masse on a certain thing. Individuals don't necessarily want to be on the same page. They're not interested in it.
No, I mean, that's right. I mean, I'm not compelled to be a part of anyone else's group. And I'm not compelled to believe as you do simply because a lot of you believe that way. I will examine any given situation and I will believe in a manner of my choosing based on my environment, my surroundings, my core beliefs, my ideology, etc. And where I return to, my stable of thought returns to individual liberty, individual rights, and my ability to chart a destiny of my own choosing based on my own abilities, my own talents, and my own determination, without regard to government interference or other interference by any other man. That is what I consider to be the basic libertarian principle of life, is your ability to live a life of your own choosing so long as you do not deprive others of doing the same. Donald Trump's going to the Libertarian Convention this year. That's interesting. The presumed Republican candidate, and he's presumed until such time in July as he's officially nominated, will be at the Libertarian Convention for a reason. So the question goes back to this. Have the Republicans failed us over the last 40 years? And if so, what will we do about it other than complain? Now, I would suggest, while I am asking this question as an exercise to get you thinking along these lines, I would also suggest to you that it is important that we not do a darn thing until after November. This is a question that needs to be asked directly following the 2024 election cycle. Under the thought and hope that Donald Trump is elected president of the United States. Sadly, what typically happens, especially after victories, is we have this misguided belief that now is the time that Republicans will actually start acting like conservatives. And while Donald Trump was a great president, he was not a conservative president. Well, I mean, he deregulated business, sure. He secured our borders. I mean, he was conservative in a lot of ways, but from a fiscal standpoint, it wasn't all just COVID, folks. I mean, say that if you want, but the facts do not bear it out. I only begin the conversation so as to stimulate thought in you. It is one thing to call radio shows. It's one thing to sit on a radio show as a host and talk about how the Republican Party has left us and that they have failed us. It's another thing to begin doing something about it. It's one thing to scream rhino to the top of your lungs at any point that someone else disagrees with you, or to talk about the uniparty, one of my least favorite terms. It's another thing to do something about it. One of the reasons that I hate terms like uniparty and rhino is because they're soft, they're weak, they're hopeless. They don't initiate a spirit of action. They initiate a spirit of hopelessness. It is time that we get beyond the hopeless conversation and talk about hopeful things, like collecting ourselves together as Americans and furthering the cause of America and individual liberty and the spirit of freedom under which this country was born. Six 615-737-9986. Daryl's in Spring Hill real quick before I have to take a break. Hey, Daryl, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, Daryl. Is everything okay in your neck of the woods down there? I've not made mention of the cleanup efforts that's going on in Murray County and beyond, but are you doing all right?
Yes, sir, I am. I actually live in Shelbyville, but I had to drive through the tornado that night. I left GM going home, and it's tore up Kedron Road over here pretty bad. A guy lost his house and his barn, and hopefully he's all right. So it's pretty bad down this way.
Well, we're thinking about you, and I'm gonna bring this up a little bit later on in the show because I know there's a lot of cleanup that still goes on and needs to go on. That's going to be weeks and months of work. But Daryl, what's on your mind today? Why'd you call?
I was going to tell you, me and the wife went to New York City the last week in February to see the youngest stepson that lives up there, and we flew into the airport, got an Uber, and when we got in the Uber, the Uber driver, who happens to be a naturalized citizen from Mexico, he said, I hope y'all are going to vote for Donald Trump. If we don't close the borders, this country is going to be in great peril. And everyone that gets in my car, I tell them, hey, we need to vote for Trump. So there's something. He lives in New Jersey. He's a retired postmaster in New York City and lives in New Jersey. And something's going on up there. It could be a 50-50 deal up there right now. I mean, there are some people that do not like Trump at all, but there are some people up there that's kind of being low-key about it. But this guy, he was very adamant. He said, everybody I do an Uber ride for, I tell them we need to elect Trump.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Some of the, Daryl, great call, and I'm glad you made it home safe from New York City. Some of the finest Americans that you'll ever meet are naturalized. I hope y'all know that. Those that do it the right way, you know why they go through the pain of becoming an American citizen? And it's a pain in the butt. I mean, to go through the paperwork and to present yourself in a way that the country wants you without sponsorship from a job, in order to get to this country and then to work the process of working government to the point that you do the hard work and you pay the money and you do all the things to become a citizen of the United States of America, through that hard work, the people that choose to do it that way become some of the most patriotic individuals on the face of the earth. You know why? Because they recognized from the jump, from the beginning, the blessings of freedom and liberty that this country represents. They understand that we are the greatest nation on God's green earth, and they did it the right way. This is not about immigration when it comes to the southern border. It's about doing it the wrong way and what that entails and what that brings. It's 12:53, Super Talk 99.7 WT, and back after this.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. Trump trial continues to only make the former president stronger in his effort to retake the White House in 2024. We'll talk about that with a former member of the Trump White House, the Team Trump. The man that is Cliff Sims has written a second book about his time in the White House and what the future of America has around the corner. We'll talk to him next on Super Talk.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, folks, Matt Murphy for U.S. Pest. If you have creepy crawlies, the critters that want to come into your house bugging you, then it's time to eliminate them. Don't allow what bugs you to be a part of your family inside of your home. It's time to call U.S. Pest. Bugs are all over. And, you know, now more than ever, it is bug, well, I called it something different. I don't want to do that this time around, but it's bug mating season. Okay, they're making little baby bugs, and those little baby bugs want a nice, comfortable place inside of your home. I'm talking spiders and roaches and fleas and other types of unmentionables that are trying to get into your house, into your personal space. They want to be where you are, eating what you eat. Let's not let that happen. Let's call U.S. Pest today. U.S. Pest Protection provides comprehensive protection both inside and outside, and they're great Americans besides. I am proud to speak well of J.K. and Erica and the way that they run their company, because not only do they do what they promise you're going to do, they protect you from pests inside, outside, and in between, but they're also fine Americans, and they believe in this country, and I love it. Schedule a free pest inspection today by going to uspest.com or call 590-1260. That's 615-590-1260 for U.S. Pest. All right, kiddos, here we go. It's 1:05. Good afternoon, Matt Murphy and you for hour number 2 of today's proceedings on this Monday. Hope you're doing well. Hope your afternoon's going well. Hope you're doing better than Michael Cohen. He is currently on the stand. He is testifying in the Donald Trump, quote-unquote, hush money trial. Jury currently returning to the courtroom, and his testimony is set to continue a little bit later on. We'll continue to update you on anything coming out of that trial. Donald Trump is only getting more and more powerful as the trial goes on, because more and more Americans are recognizing that this is political in nature and nothing else. It is lawfare extreme. So we had 4 cases. We're now down to 1. We had 4 different suits. I mean, you had the New York City hush money deal, this one. You've got the Jan 6 thing going on in Washington, D.C. You got the Georgia trial going on, and they're not going on now, and then Mar-a-Lago. So you got the Mar-a-Lago classified docs, that's on indefinite hold. You got Georgia, that's on indefinite hold while they figure out how much they're going to allow Fani Willis to get away with before they boot her off the case, which is forthcoming, I promise you that. And then Jan 6, Jack Smith, as corrupt as the day is long. These things happening last week. All of them on indefinite hold. And so really the only thing the liberals have to hang on is this trial out in New York City, which is not going well, I promise you that. So in the spirit of all of that, and in the spirit of talking about Donald Trump and his run for the presidency in 2024, we welcome to the show Cliff Sims. Cliff Sims is a great friend of mine. He's from the great state of Alabama. He was on Team Trump. Just let me tell you, Cliff Sims served as special assistant to President Donald Trump in the White House. He served as Deputy Director of National Intelligence, helping to oversee 18 agencies in the United States intelligence community. He has already written 1 book about his 500 or so days in Trump White House called Team of Vipers. And he has a brand new book out called The Darkness Has Not Overcome, Lessons on Faith and Politics from Inside the Halls of Power. But more importantly, as I introduce Cliff Sims, I want to just offer you a few quotes about Cliff the man. It is said that Cliff was, quote, a low-level staffer. That Cliff, quote, pretended to be an insider when in fact he was nothing more than a grifter. A gopher. And that Cliff, his first book was boring and fiction. These are all quotes from Donald Trump, who still loves the man. And Cliff joins us on the Matt Murphy Show today. Hey, Cliff, how are you?
What an intro. I would expect nothing less from the great Matt Murphy.
Look,
I've been on quite a roller coaster with Trump over the years. I have been, attacked. I've been sued by him, and then he brought me back. And
he loves you, buddy. He loves you.
It's a true Trumpian story, and we're on great terms. I think with the first book, he had a little bit of justifiable PTSD from all of the staffers leaving and then just attacking him and stabbing in the back. And he had the misperception, I think, that I was about to do the same thing. And then he started seeing me in interviews and it wasn't what was happening. And so he's like, oh, okay, well, actually this is fine. And so, came back and all is well with the world. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, to say the least.
Well, what you did and what Trump learned, because sadly the mainstream media, sadly for them, the mainstream media thought that you were getting ready to line up like some of these former people and just trash the guy, and you didn't. You told the truth. And when Donald Trump, and I'm picking on you because we know each other a long time. When Donald Trump realized that you were going to tell the truth about what happened in the White House, he went, "Oh, wait a minute. Okay, well then that's fine, Cliff. You're good with me. You do a better Trump than I do."
Yeah, this is the first time I've been on the show since you've been up in Nashville. I can't believe that they accept the Georgia Bulldog in Nashville. We just rejected it out of hand. We couldn't deal with it anymore. We just sent you out of Alabama. Get out of here. And, whatever. Apparently they love you.
Look, hey, all I know is when I was in Alabama, you had Nick Saban and you were winning national championships. Now I'm not in Alabama. There's no more Nick Saban. I don't think there's any more national championships coming either, Clay. That's all I'm saying.
It's a fair point. I can't argue with that, man. Well, it's great to be back on with you, man. It's been a long time.
Well, it has been a long time. Cliff is a longtime friend. He started a media empire in the state of Alabama before being called up to Team Trump to serve in many different capacities in the Trump campaign. And he knows I'm picking on him when I throw some of those quotes at him. But you did. You wrote Team of Vipers, and it was well received by those who wanted a true insight into what was going on during the time that you had inside the White House with Donald Trump. Sadly, I didn't see a lot of you on mainstream media because you weren't playing the game, but you have an intimate understanding of how the media plays the game when it comes to Trump, that you can't have any nuance in terms of your position on Trump as president and Trump as candidate. These media outlets, I mean, before we get into the nature of the book, this new book, these media outlets, they expect you to be all anti or all, talk to me about the nature of your time making appearances on mainstream media, like the hashtag Never CNNs in the world.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the one that comes to mind the most is The View. I went on with the fine ladies of The View. And and when I get on there, one of them says, everybody goes on after they leave the Trump White House, they go out there and they do this apology tour, and I'm just not sure what to think about it. So why should we believe you that you were sorry for working for Donald Trump? And I said something to the effect of, I'm not sure what interview you thought this was going to be, but I'm not here to apologize for working for Trump. I was proud to work for the American people, proud to work in the White House, and proud to work for Donald Trump. And it was like this bizarre, pause, we got to reshuffle our talking points here. We got this wrong, what this was going to be. But you're exactly right. All they want to do is get somebody up there to validate their preconceived idea that he's a quote-unquote threat to democracy, that the world is going to end if Donald Trump is elected president again. And I think one of the things that has happened is they have so corroded their credibility that a lot of these attacks just don't work anymore. It all rings hollow because people are like, well, all right, he sent out some mean tweets, but my gas was cheaper, my paycheck went further, there was peace around the world and not mayhem, and, at least our president could complete a sentence up there. So, I just think it just doesn't ring true. And so it's just not working this time, and it's being reflected in the poll numbers. We're seeing an unprecedented poll numbers for Donald Trump, whose, frankly, his support typically has been undersold in polls. And now we're seeing him leading in all these battleground states, even in New York Times polls and CNN polls. And it's really remarkable.
Cliff Sims, our guest, he wrote Team of Vipers several years ago, and he has a brand new book out called The Darkness Has Not Overcome. Why a new book? What is different? I mean, obviously, Team of Vipers was a reflection on your time in the middle of it all. What is this book about, and what compelled you to write it, Cliff?
Well, when I went back, when the president asked me to come back as Deputy Director of National Intelligence, it was a whole different universe. So working in the intelligence community, overseeing the CIA and NSA and all these different agencies. And so it was a different experience where I learned a lot of things that were just new. And I was kind of reflecting on that time period of my life. And as I was journaling about it and thinking about it, I realized that a lot of the lessons that I learned are applicable to anybody's life, whether you're walking through the fire or, wrestling with what dreams to chase or struggling with anxiety and depression or anything that you're going through. I experienced those same things working in the so-called halls of power. And so also I wanted to tell some of those stories, but also wanted to do it from a biblical perspective, a faith-based perspective. And so I would describe this book as basically a political junkie's dream devotional book, because you're going to get stories from in the White House, inside the CIA, inside the nuclear bunkers, all these different things. But each of those stories is going to jump into a biblical lesson that could apply to anybody's life. And so that was really why I wanted to write this book and what separates it from the first one that I did.
You have a not a unique, but you have an experience that most of us will never have in as much as you've sat in rooms, you've had conversations with the man, Donald Trump. We all see him before the cameras. We have great respect for the core convictions that he has, his love of country, the direction that he wants to take, the manner in which he comports himself. I mean, obviously, you have a different type of experience. And for those who have never heard us in Nashville discuss these things, just talk to the people about the type of man that you experienced in person, in those meetings, in those rooms, in those sessions during your time in the White House.
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is one of the reasons why Trump has resonated so profoundly and why he's had the staying power that he has is that authenticity is such a rare trait in American public life that when somebody puts themselves out there, warts and all, and just says, this is who I am, it does resonate. And so in some sense, there is no private Trump. I mean, he kind of is what you see. It's authentically him. If he's railing about something, in public, he's been railing about the same thing in private. So there is no private Trump in some sense. But, there are a couple of stories that come to mind, I think, illustrate really what he's like behind the scenes. One, when the Congressional Black Caucus came into the White House, loaded up for bear. I mean, they're no fans of his. It's all, Democrats coming in, ready to give him a piece of their mind. And over the course of about 45 minutes, the tone of the meeting completely shifted, and they learned what I've seen so many learn before them, which is basically can't be in a room with Donald Trump and walk out not liking him. He's so charming. He's going to make you feel like the center of the universe. He's funny, and you're just going to have a good time, to the point that the head of the Congressional Black Caucus said, I don't agree with everything that you say, but I think you have the capacity to be a transformational president, a truly great president. And, of course, they go out publicly and they still call him a racist and whatever, but that's what their actual experience was behind the scenes. So that's one. The second thing is, I'll never forget, after the president moved the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And, of course, Joe Biden said this was going to spark, World War III over there or whatever. And in reality, peace started spreading throughout the Middle East. But the day after he made that decision, we walk out of the Oval Office and we look up at the TVs in the outer Oval, and they are showing protests that, frankly, look a lot like the protests we're seeing on college campuses around our country. But they're screaming, Trump, Trump, you will see, Palestine will be free. They're burning American flags. They're hanging Trump in effigy, all these different things. And Trump watched it, and then he kind of paused, and he looked at me and said, okay, what's next? As in, what's next on the schedule today? He had watched himself endure the most visceral criticism and hatred you could possibly imagine. It did not affect him in any way whatsoever. And so what I saw was a president who had the courage to do the difficult thing, make the difficult decisions, endure the criticism that was going to come along with that, no matter what, if he felt like it was the right thing to do. And I tell you, that is the rarest of traits among American politicians.
Well, that's no question about it. Cliff Sims is our guest. He is author of a brand new book, The Darkness Has Not Overcome. He is also the author of Team of Vipers. If you've not read that book, it is one of the more honest treatments about Trump's White House that I've read, in as much as that, he says some things that Trump supporters kind of shake their heads at and go, oh, what's up with that? But he tells the truth, and that's what I appreciate about your writing, Cliff, and every time we have you on the air. One of the stories that is one of my favorite stories to retell of yours is a story that you told me years ago. I don't know if you're ready, willing, or able to tell it, but I'm going to set you up, and you can tell what you want to tell. But I, at one time, said that Cliff Sims had the hardest job in the United States of America because you were a part of the digital communication team in the Trump White House while Trump was on Twitter. And so you told me his story. You said that it was a regular occurrence that you guys would wake up to his tweets from, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, And
Sure.
You told me the story of him coming downstairs, and you remember the story I'm talking about where he looked at you and said?
I do. He said, what people are going to say, this isn't presidential. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, you said, I remember the story you told me where you like it was something, I forget what the tweet was, but it was just one of the tweets, and you guys were part of the comms team. You had to answer all of the, the CNNs and the New York Times. Oh, their hairs are on fire because of something that he did. And he popped something out overnight, and you're waiting for him to get there, and he walks in, he pokes his head around the corner and says, "Did you see it?"
Oh yeah. Did you see it? Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Yes, of course. Well, as if you didn't see it, right?
Right. I remember the exact tweet you're talking about, and after he says that, I said, "Well, we're getting a lot of questions about it. What do you want us to say?" And he goes, "Well, they're going to say that it's not presidential, but you tell them it's modern day presidential." Like, all right, well, I don't know if that's going to get them off our back, but we'll give it a shot. But many tweets derailed many days for the comms team in the West Wing. But you know what? Taking his message directly to the American people, and like I said, that authenticity resonates with people, and it's a part of who he is. And I think there's a lot of people right now who would say, "Hey, I'll take some mean tweets and world peace about now."
Well, I don't think, I mean, if you compare the two resumes, and I wanted to ask you about what's going on in New York City right now, more broadly in D.C., in Georgia, in Florida, because I think the Democrats recognize without the calamity of COVID and all the uncertainty that was happening in 2020, Trump's the president anyway, without the cheating, without the shenanigans, without everything going on. But with all of that, Biden managed to become the president. Well, now in 2024, they don't have that to rely on, and so they're relying on this, what is called lawfare. And I'm curious your thoughts about this. I mean, obviously, we've dispatched of 3 of these legal cases before the presidential election. How do you think this is going? I feel like it's helping him, not hurting him.
Well, I think you're right. Now, it's tough to really analyze some of this stuff in the moment because as a political operative, I look at things and say, well, my candidate can't get on the campaign trail because he's stuck in a courtroom all day, and it's just wrong. And then, of course, it is. The flip side of it is I agree with you. My gut feeling is the same as yours, which is that a lot of people around the country, even people who are not hardcore political followers, see what is happening, and they say, well, this is unjust. This is just wrong. It is lawfare. And you hear a lot about, threats to democracy out there, and it's hard for me to square the left simultaneously calling Trump a threat to democracy while they're trying to prosecute their political opponent left and right, all these different cases. And so, I've found maybe some perverse joy in just watching the whole thing just fall apart, one case after another. And I think what we're seeing happening right now in New York is probably the most political of all of them. And so it's going to fall apart, too. And it has with, Stormy Daniels' testimony and Michael Cohen up there, a convicted felon who, wouldn't know the truth if it punched him in the face. I mean, the whole thing is just a total clown show. And so I do think ultimately you're seeing a lot of suburban voters out there, moms at home watching this stuff play out during the day. And they're seeing and just saying, this ain't right. And I do ultimately think it helps him, even though it's tough in the moment.
Cliff Sims is our guest. We got a quick break to take, and then we'll get Cliff back on the other side and talk to him specifically about the book, The Darkness Has Not Overcome, Lessons on Faith and Politics from Inside the Halls of Power. Cliff Sims spent about 500 days within the halls of the White House, and I guess he did return in the intelligence community even after his time as special counsel to the President of the United States, and he's on with us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back in a moment. Craft Body Scan has an incredible special that they're offering you for this month. Craft Body Scan believes in catching issues before they present themselves as symptoms. Imagine a world where disease is caught in its infancy, where you catch breast cancer before you're even aware of it in a physical way, or colon cancer, prostate cancer. All of these things are things that were once considered killers, but now we catch them early because we have galvanized in the minds of people that you need early detection in order to prevent larger problems. May is National Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and Kraft Body Scan wants to offer you 20% off all cancer screenings for the month of May. It is a very special offered to you in order to encourage you to go and check this out before you get symptomatic, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, just $119. Now, these body scans are typically well in excess of $1,300. They're offering them this low just for you for the month of May. Visit craftbodyscan.com. Oh, by the way, I say just for you, but I'll mention that you bring a spouse, you bring a significant other, and they will get a scan as well for that $119 price. How about that? An extraordinary deal on their couple's heart and lung scan. Ask them about that. $119 when you make the call that so many others have made to Kraft Body Scan. 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000, or schedule your scan today at craftbodyscan.com. That's craftbodyscan.com. All right, quick wrap here. I know Phil. I was just talking to a Phil. Cliff Sims is busy man. But I wanted to wrap up by asking him in the last moment or two that we have where we can find The Darkness Has Not Overcome. It's his second book with regard to his time in Washington, D.C. Cliff, where can we find it? Anywhere where books are sold, I would imagine?
Yeah, Matt, thanks for having me on. You can get it anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, local bookstores, anywhere you can get a book, you can find it. And I just appreciate the support and appreciate your friendship over the years. And thanks for having me on.
Look, we've known each other. We've known each other a long time. You'll be back. I know you will. Thank you, Cliff, for everything. And he's got to boogie on to another interview. He's doing a lot of these. The Darkness Has Not Overcome, Lessons on Faith and Politics from Inside the Halls of Power. Cliff Sims is the author. Cliff started Yellowhammer News years and years ago in Alabama, and I became friends with him during that time. And then he became a part of the Trump White House on the digital communications team, and it's a pleasure to have him on today. Obviously, Donald Trump on our minds, what with the Michael Cohen testimony ongoing, the breathless reporting regarding the Michael Cohen testimony and everything it means for the trial of the century, we are told by #NeverCNN and some of these other media organizations that want to suggest to you that this means everything. Donald Trump, the criminal that he is, breaking the law with impunity. That is, and yet these same media organizations are at a loss when I beg of them to tell me precisely what law he broke that rose what was or brings what was a misdemeanor bookkeeping charge, what caused it to rise to the level of a felony. Makes very little sense to me. Yet here we are. Now, I'm certain that the media is going to be completely open, honest, and fair when it comes to their reporting regarding what's going on in the courtroom. I'm certain, as I watched #NeverCNN this morning, so you don't have to, that as they breathlessly read text and tweets that come from the Trump courtroom, that they're going to be fair and honest about what they're seeing. In all seriousness, they're so desperate for somebody to cling to that might get Trump that this morning I was watching some of this nonsense, and they were sitting, the Jake Tappers and the Anderson Coopers of the world, these sad sacks. It's pathetic and somehow satisfying to listen to Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper read dumb texts that they're getting from whomever they have sitting in the courtroom as they come in live about the Cohen testimony and act as if any of this means anything. All about, where his office was in relation to Trump's office and what types of things that he called Donald Trump. Oh, I called him boss, or I called him Mr. Trump. Ooh, he called him boss. He called him Mr. Trump. So desperate for something that matters. So desperate for that smoking gun. Since 2016, this organization, #NeverCNN specifically, has been after Trump. Their goal, journalistic integrity or credibility be damned, is to get Trump. And every next thing that comes along, they think it's the thing that's going to make it happen. And it never is. 615-737-9986. Have you heard the one about the homeless woman that lived above a grocery store for over a year? I have such respect for this story, and I'm going to tell you the story in just a moment. Tell me you don't have respect for this person. Oddly, I do. I'll tell you the story next on Super Talk. Is well coiffed the word I want when I'm talking about my hair? I think that's right. I think well coiffed is the term that I want. Someone on the Members Nutrition Super Text line will help me out if that's not the case. Well, here's the deal, though. I know that my hair is doing as best as it can. I know that it's doing well because of PAI Medical. If you want to look better and feel better about yourself, this can be the year to do it. This can be the time to do it. Matt Murphy here for We Grow Hair. You know, they're the only company to have the state-of-the-art PAI multi-unit hair grafting procedure. I'm going to tell you a little more about that in just a moment. This procedure, well, I'll say, gives you more hair in less time, saves you money, and nobody else has it. It's the only company that I trust to help thinning hair. As a matter of fact, I went and I had them check me out. And here's the great thing. They told me, you know what, Murph, we think you're okay for now, but we want to make sure that you don't begin thinning even more so than you already are in the crown of your head. So they offered me their FDA-approved laser treatments, which makes your hair thicker and fuller, and it prevents further hair loss. And I've done those treatments, and I'm so happy that I have because I don't have to worry about hair loss now because the last thing I want is a bald and lumpy head. We Grow Hair will offer a free consultation to you. You can learn about their affordable options and anything you need with regard to hair growth. They can make it happen at We Grow Hair, 615-376-6010, 376-6010, or go to WeGrowHair.com. That's WeGrowHair.com. And tell them that Matt Murphy sent you. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy, and you. Thank you for being a part of the show this Monday, May 13th. Man, we're almost done. We're almost halfway done with May. That doesn't seem right, does it? This year is just, I'll tell you what, we were discussing the presidential election in January, and, most of us understand how time just flies. What do they like to say? The days are long and the years are short, or the years are short and the days are long. One way or the other, it has flown into May, and before you know it, summertime. By the way, just a quick programming note. I just found this out last week. Bell, this has to do with you.
What?
I am pleased to announce to you that you will not be going to the RNC. I only say I'm pleased to announce this because I don't think you would have any fun at all.
Oh, I would, yeah.
You think you would?
Get myself fired, but I'd have
get
a lot
yourself
of fun.
arrested. But I am going. The show is going. So by extension, you'll be there. I lobbied for you.
I would have loved to have gone. It would have been fun.
Here's the odd thing,
I would have
though.
been like sitting at our booth screaming, "Look, a rhino!" at people that were really, doing a party.
This is a little bit awkward for me, though, because the only reason that I was lobbying to get you to come too is because I thought you would hate it.
So no, I would have had a blast.
So
I've
it's a
never
little bit
been to
awkward.
anything like that. That would have been a hoot.
Well, you get to stay here, and I get to go there. I will be all by my lonesome at the Republican National Convention this year, but I am told that I am able to go. I begged of it. I think Wilson was probably the leader in the clubhouse with regard to who was to go if they wanted to, but I think Wilson's feeling like he's been there, done that, and would much prefer to watch the circus on the sidelines. I've never been to a national convention. I begged to go to the Democrat National Convention, too.
Oh, that would have been even more fun.
But I was told that I was not allowed
I would have loved to be sitting in our booth and see McConnell walking by going, "Hey, Mitch, how much money have you cut from the federal debt?"
Hey, look, there's a turtle. Oh, wait, no, it's Mitch McConnell.
That's a Senate leader.
Man, oh, man. But it will be fun. Middle of July, I guess, July 16, 17, 18, something along those lines. Sadly, I am so saddened to remember that we could have been right here in Nashville, Tennessee with that convention.
If it were not for our city council,
Our dumb Metro Nashville City Council.
you wouldn't have had to get on a plane to go to the RNC.
Mm-hmm. I could have gone downtown. And all of us would have been down there. I'm but certain. We'll get it.
Well, we had to worry about those safety concerns.
So stupid.
Idiots.
Nashville leader by a long shot over Milwaukee, and then the Metro Council just decides not to send a letter. And because they do not send the letter, the RNC doesn't come here, and we don't enjoy the circus coming to town. That is the Republican National Convention. 615-737-9986. Quickly, hey, behind you, I just saw him in the background. See what the story is on this line one. He's back there. So I don't know what the deal is there. A woman was found living. I don't know why this story, by the way, before I get into the details on it. I see certain things and I'm just drawn to them. And for whatever reason, I have mad respect for this unnamed woman. I don't know why, but I do. I don't know what the tale of her circumstances might be. I don't know how she came to live on the top of a grocery store. I don't know why she was there. I don't know what led her there. I just know that for some reason I have mad respect for her. Here's the details. Police in Midland, Michigan were notified recently about a woman living in a small space that hosts a supermarket sign on the roof of a building on April 23rd, less than a month ago. Contractors working on the roof found the woman on the building at a grocery store in Michigan, where they say that she had been for about a year. The woman had flooring, a computer desk, a printer, a Keurig coffee maker, and a pantry of food in the space, which was described as 10 to 15 feet long, 5 feet wide, and approximately 8 feet high. This, according to the Midland Police Department. She had flooring, a computer desk, a printer, a printer. Come on, lady. This isn't 2010. Come on.
No. It's okay to have a printer. It's if you have a fax machine, that's when you look stupid.
I guess that's right. She had a Keurig, though. She had that's good. According to Brennan Warren, a spokesperson for the Midland Police Department, he said, and I quote, "We made contact with her and she was advised she was not allowed to live there. She was formally trespassed from the store and was provided with information on services within our area. However, she stated at the time that she did not have a desire for any of those services. The woman, who police are not identifying, left without incident." Here's a great part about this, and I don't know why this pleases me. She wasn't charged with anything. She was living. Now, imagine walking into a grocery store and seeing the big sign on top of the grocery store, whether it's Winn-Dixie or Kroger or, when I was a kid, we used to go to Bi-Lo back in Georgia. Food Lion, Food Giant, whatever. And you see the big sign that lights up at night. She was living behind that and in that sign at a grocery store called Family Fare. And the cops found her and told her she had to leave, and so she did. She was not formally charged for living in the space, according to police. I mean, and part of me is like, you go, girl, but part of me is thinking, well, if you have the willingness, the energy to provide yourself with flooring, how did she get a desk on the roof? I mean, maybe she had IKEA deliver it. I don't know. One of those put-together deals. She had a computer.
There had to be a lot of space behind that sign.
I mean, she had a printer up there. She's got printer paper, and she's worried about it raining, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, she's cranking out TPC reports and memorandum of understanding amongst the staff. I bet she had underlings. Be willing to bet she had underlings. Had little cubicles.
They had to live downstairs in the store.
I would be willing. One of the best parts of the story. The woman who police are not identifying left without incident. Police found that she had been living in the space for approximately 1 year. And here's the best part of the story. It's not clear how she was getting up on the roof. So even though they found her, they still don't know exactly how she got up on the roof, which I would assume means that they have no idea how she got the desk on the roof. One would assume that she was sleeping up there as well. I don't know if they just chose not to go into her living accommodations, her bedroom accommodation. Maybe they felt like that was a private matter that should not be discussed in this news report from NBC. John is next up. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing great, Matt.
Well, what's going on, John? What's on your mind?
I have been talking to Mac and Chris Hand in regards to a sport that I do. It's called Armored MMA, and it sounds like you're a little behind on it, so you don't exactly know what that is, so I'll give you the 20 seconds. Think regular UFC MMA, but the people are wearing 15th century armor and fighting with swords or axes and shields and stuff like that. We do that locally here in Nashville, and we have created a league that does that, and we did an event in February at Municipal Stadium, and we have another one coming up on June the 8th. On February, we had 1,300 or 1,400 paid people, paid attendees showing up, and our fighters are from all around the world, best in the world. And what we're trying to do is get a charity fight between Chris Hand and yourself, or maybe Mac and Chris, or Mac and you, and have that at the November event. But Mac said I needed to call in and talk to you to get your buy-in to see if that was something you would be interested in doing, raising some money for two of your guys' favorite charities. You pick one, he picks one, and we try and make that happen.
So this is similar in style to mixed martial arts, except that we're combating more in the traditional, Knights of the Round Table type regalia. Do I have it right?
Essentially, yes. You can do judo throws and stuff like that, but you're limited somewhat because you have gauntlets on, so you can't grab my collar. And yes, the point scoring system is based on weapon hits, throws, things like that. But yes, it's full contact, go as hard as you want, but the armor does a fabulous job of protecting you.
And your desire is to have me in the. I tell you what I'll do, John. I'll make an agreement with you because Dan Mandis of our morning show, Nashville's Morning News, was smack talking to me this morning about beating me in pickleball, which never actually happened. And so if you can convince Mandis to get into the ring with me, I'll be happy to get. I'll not only get into the ring with Mandis, but I'll get into the ring or the whatever type of confinement there is. I'll get in there with anybody else. So I'll help you out in any way that I can.
Well, I appreciate that. I believe that means that you just put Chris Hand on the spot because I think he said if you agreed, then he would agree. He was kind of indicating that you were the sticking point, and that may have just been because you've been out of town.
Oh, no. I'll do anything for charity that doesn't involve cutting off a limb. We don't expect that this would be dangerous in that fashion. Or not. I mean, what's the biggest injury that you've seen in your experience with the armored mixed martial arts?
The most common injury is for new people, and we would want you to come down and train with us, and we would give you private lessons and whatever. But the most common injury is because the armor is relatively heavy, you don't understand how to stop yourself when you're doing something, and you do a rotational thing, and you keep your foot planted, and you pop an ACL. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. But we would train you way before you got in the ring and were fighting at anything resembling 100%, how to handle yourself and, make that not happen. Other than that, mostly it's just bruises, which we call friendship kisses.
How heavy are those swords that you got down there?
The swords that we typically use run about 2.5, maybe 3 pounds. The armor runs about 60 pounds.
I was about to say, that doesn't seem heavy at all.
No, the swords, what we use are what's called arming swords. Their total length is about 36 inches, but they're relatively thin, and they're designed for speed because if you and I are fighting and I swing and I get a clean hit to your head, it's worth 2 points. You swing back and you hit my leg, it's worth 1 point. But if you were able to hit me 3 times in succession in the leg, you've gotten 3 points. So obviously a lighter sword is more effective, and we're not trying to drain each other. Heavier means a harder hit. We're trying to be flashy and whatever, which isn't to say if I hit you in just the perfect spot, it's not going to hurt, but you won't be hurt.
I'll keep my commitment. What I made a promise to do is that if Han wants to get in on this, I'll get in on this. If you can convince Mandis to do that, which you will never do, by the way, but that's okay. But I'm looking at some of the armored MMA. I'm looking at your website over here. Is this yours?
Okay.
NashvilleArmoredCombat.com? Is that right?
Yes, that's one of them. And if you go to Armored MMA, there's a couple of our fights from February up there.
Well, I mean, you let me know. You keep in contact and let me know where this goes. I'm willing to do anything for a charitable contribution to a good charity of my choosing. Whether it's it's probably be a dog-based charity, Proverbs 12:10, or maybe a cancer-based charity in honor of my mom. One way or the other, I'm willing to help you out in any way possible. What you need to do is you need to get off the schneid there, John, and spend a little advertising money on this radio station, and we'll get some butts in some seats. How about that? Huh?
I am talking to the other owners about that directly, and that's something we're trying to do. We'll see how that works out for us. It is not free to be at Municipal Stadium, and seeing as we're relatively new, budget is kind of tight, but I thought if we could raise some money and get you guys up there, that would help us. Also, it would help you and your favorite charity. So I was hoping everybody wins.
Well, everybody wins in that regard, certainly. Well, John, I love hearing about this. This is new to me, and I'll do some background on it. And you keep in contact. Hit me up on socials or on my email, matt@murphyshow.com, and we'll keep in touch. But you let me know how it goes with Dan when you make a call to him. Let me know how that goes, okay?
I'm pretty sure I already know. Okay, I will.
Well, I think Hand and I are probably more of your huckleberries than Dan Mandis would be, but we're happy to help you out. John from. Did you know any of this was going on, Bill? This looks very nerdy, doesn't it?
Sounded pretty nerdy too.
I mean, it's like, well, I say that. I mean, I don't want to disparage anyone that gets inside of one of these rings and does this. Well, no, it's like all of the nerds that went to the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, they decided to get angry.
They decided to, muscle up a little bit and get a little angry at one another and start actually hitting one another. Because let me tell you, they're going after it with the chainmail and the full face and all of that. Good for you, John. I appreciate your call. It's 153 Super Talk 90.7 WTN. The Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project is a wonderful, wonderful organization, and I can't tell you how proud I am to be a part of it. And I'm just a small, small part. I'm just kind of a voice that reminds you that as you give to a charity of your choosing, would you consider giving to the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project? They're celebrating their 10th anniversary. For 10 years, the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, a not-for-profit organization, has been assisting other nonprofits in securing funds that help benefit veterans of the United States Armed Forces. The organization was founded 10 years ago, as I mentioned, by the late country music legend Charlie Daniels, along with his manager David Corlew. And what they wanted to do was simple. They recognized that those who had given so much to the United States of America, those that had been in service to our country, and by extension to each and every one of us, would come home from deployment, oftentimes multiple deployments, and it became very complex in terms of reintegrating into society, their health, both their mental and physical health, education, employment opportunities, just a few of the many, many issues that faces those who are coming back home. And so they created the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, where we open our arms and we welcome the men and women who have committed to service to us. We welcome them home, and we provide them with the needed things that they need to reintegrate back into society. Go to the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project website, and it's as simple as typing out the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. The CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. Please visit the website and donate as you can today and make a difference in the lives of our American veterans. I appreciate you.
2:01, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 72 degrees, a wet afternoon here on Music Row. Got a complete weather outlook coming up in just a few minutes. Starting with the Donald Trump hush money trial, we got the latest from Derek Dennis.
Critical testimony this hour in the hush money trial of former President Trump in New York City. Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, detailing under oath he was instructed by Trump to pay off porn star Stormy Daniels to cover up an alleged sexual encounter she had with Trump back in 2006. Cohen saying he went to Trump's former chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, to get him to make the payment and then being reimbursed by Trump, but Weisselberg declined, saying he wasn't in a financial position to do so. Then Cohen says he used a home equity line of credit to pay Daniels himself.
With the prospect of the story of an affair between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels going public ahead of the 2016 presidential election, Michael Cohen testifying Trump told him women are going to hate me, adding guys may think it's cool, but this is going to be a disaster for the campaign. Cohen said that Trump directed him to purchase Daniels' story to keep it from getting out.
ABC's Dave Packer. When the defense gets its turn, Cohen's credibility issues are expected to come up.
And right now, back in Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro police asking the public to not share a post claiming a lost 2-year-old boy has been found. They ask if you already shared it, delete it. News 2 says the post claims that a lost 2-year-old boy has been found, quote, an hour ago, and that the child has been taken to the police station, but no one has called looking for him. Murfreesboro police say the post is fake, and they ask anyone who knows who started it to call investigators. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
It is 2:06 and a good afternoon. Welcome in, Matt Murphy and you. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN this Monday, May 13. We're here till 3. We'll hand off to Brian Wilson in the drive at that time. Brian Wilson, 4 full hours of what I am certain to be talk radio excellence. We've got another hour to go. You're invited to be a part of it. 615-737-9986, either on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. You're always invited during my portion of the broadcast day to call at any time of your choosing. Always happy to turn a monologue into a dialogue. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, by the way, and I hope that you are, perhaps you're listening on your online platform, whatever online platform you're on, we thank you for that. Like us and give us the thumbs up and subscribe if available. You can also listen on the radio, the good old-fashioned radio at 99.7 FM. But if you're on the television side of things, several of you on the Members Nutrition Super Text line have wanted to know why I'm being a Benedict Arnold today. I've been accused of cheating, Bell, on my beloved radio station, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The hell are they talking about?
My shirt.
No, that's personal history. That does not count as cheating.
I don't think so either. No, this is
That's
a
like
part
if
of
I wore an old KDF rock shirt.
Yeah.
I'm not promoting KDF. That's part of your history.
No, I mean, it's all one big family, right? I mean, this was, for those watching and wondering, this was my old stomping ground down in Birmingham. Birmingham's Real Talk.
We did not hire you away from another company. You transferred inside the company.
That's right. So that's what I'm doing here. And I've always loved this shirt because I feel like we work for you. And this is a work shirt. And, you know, it's for those listening on the radio, not watching on television, on one side of it, it's like a mechanic shirt. And on one side of it, it's got my name, says Murphy. And on the other side, it's got the logo of the radio station. And I've always liked that because I believe that I am working for you. And
that is our sister station in Birmingham, literally.
Right. That's right. So there you have it. That's the answer to some of your questions. 615-737-9986. 7453 says, Matt, where's the process of reducing the size of the Metro Council? What a great question. And I will try to get the answer to that question for you as soon as possible. I don't know where we are is the simple answer from me right now. But I know who does, and I know I can find out. Also, I want to update you. Over the weekend, I had a chance to talk with Senator Joey Hensley and Representative Scott Sapicki. I was in an event with those two gentlemen, along with Senator Jack Johnson and Congressman Andy Ogles. The event was in Spring Hill, and we talked, obviously, about some of the devastation that happened during the tornadic event of last week and some of the cleanup that is ongoing. Representative Sapicki has sent me just today multiple photographs of some of the incredible devastation that has gone on. I mean, we truly we live in blessed times in as much as we cannot control the weather, obviously, because we don't live in China. They control the weather. No, I'm just kidding. We don't control the weather, but we have better technology to identify when conditions present themselves in a way that nasty and potentially life-threatening weather could be on you. And thankfully, we have great weather organizations. I know we give them hell when they're wrong, but great weather organizations, including the National Weather Service, including a variety of the television outlets here in Nashville. And then we try to be a part of that information dissemination when the time comes. And so while I was gone last week, I applaud Dan Mandis and Ken Weaver, the rest of the news team, and Brian and Chris and everyone else who on the front end, and this is the most important factor to me, on the front end made you aware as grown people, right? All we can do is tell you grown people what's about to potentially come. What are the chances that it gets really bad? And while I understand we can't control what happens when it happens, we can provide you maximum information before it happens, while it's happening, and after it happens. And I feel like the team here just did an incredible job. Brian and Ken, and I think Chris was on some social media platforms, and of course Dan Mandis. An incredible job informing people as the storms were here and as they hit. The biggest storm happened in Murray County. It was an EF3 rated tornado with wind speeds I think I saw of 140 miles an hour. Some of the devastation is hard to look at. I mean, some homes are completely gone. Trees snapped off at, 5 feet. I mean, and I'm talking big trees. But as I look, I'm reminded that we lost 2 people. One, well, I said 2 because everyone's anticipating that the young 10-year-old, is not going to survive the event. But it could have been so much worse. And I know that if your home was destroyed, then it can't get that much worse for you. If you know of the family member that lost her life in the storms, then obviously it is of no consolation or solace to you. But let me tell you, we live in a day and age where we are more aware of these bad situations before they hit us than ever before. And as bad as social media is, as bad as the internet has become, as much of a net negative as I believe that it is in our society nowadays, there's some good that comes from it. And part of the good is making people aware of the weather that's on the way, making people aware of the danger that's on the way, and giving them that precious 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 minutes so that they can make life-saving decisions. Life-saving decisions were made last week. People made decisions to get into a place of safety, whether that's bunkering down on their homestead, or if they have enough advance warning, getting into their car and getting to another bunker, doing the things necessary. Hopefully you have an action plan, right? I mean, you're all grown. I don't tell you what to do, but hopefully you have the ability to get somewhere where you're relatively safe from even the worst of these storms. And many of you did that. And while I hate it, I absolutely hate it that property is gone and destroyed, while I hate it that people's lives have been permanently changed because they've lost all of their material possessions, or, you look out at your property and you see all the downed trees and the chaos and disarray, unless you are one of the two families that lost lives there, you can look around and recognize that you have your health and you have your life and you have your good sense. And that's what matters. I don't know what, well, I do know what. Sapicki sent me these photos of the trees that were snapped and the homes that were destroyed. And I thought to myself, man, oh man, it could have been so much more worse. So much worse. But it wasn't. It wasn't. We thank God for that. 214 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Donald Trump held a rally over the weekend. Not that you would know that if you watch mainstream media, because they have largely ignored it. They ignore it in favor of the big trial that's going on in New York City. New York City, that we are told is just bombshell after bombshell, as Michael Cohen testifies regarding the recorded conversation. He secretly recorded the president ahead of the 2016 election, according to his witness testimony earlier today, testifying that during his 16th day, he's testifying today, it's the 16th day in court. He testified that he secretly recorded Trump on his iPhone on September 6th, 2016, just weeks before the general election, regarding a payment to National Enquirer publisher David Pecker. According to the testimony, Pecker had paid Playboy model Karen McDougal $150,000 to purchase her story that she had an affair with Trump, and to subsequently quiet her claims ahead of the election. Pecker, well, I thought you were going to do it every time, had pressed Cohen that Trump needed to pay him back, with Cohen secretly recording Trump on September 6th of the election year as proof Trump planned to pay Pecker. It's a lot of alliteration from anxious anchors placed in powerful posts. Cohen added that in addition to easing the mind of David Pecker that he would be repaid, he also made the recording in order to keep him loyal to Trump. The recording was played for the jury, which included Cohen telling Trump he needed to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David. So what do we have to pay for this? $150, Trump is heard saying. Cohen argued in his testimony that Trump knew that he had purchased the rights to McDougal's claims of the affair and agreed to pay $150,000. So I bring this up to show you where this trial has gone. This trial is not about any felony that Donald Trump is being accused of, and I can't tell you what felony that might be because the prosecution has yet to tell any of us what felony that is. And no, I'm not making that up. For someone who was just dropped in from a banana republic, a third world dictatorship, this might sound familiar to you. There is a defendant on trial, and that defendant has not yet been told on day 16 of the trial. That defendant has not yet been told exactly what the charges are against him. Oh, he's been told that he's being charged with 34 counts of fraudulently reporting legal expenses, which were really amounting to hush money, although the case can be and will be made that these were legal expenses. What else would you designate these things are? He was paying his lawyer to recompense his lawyer from doing the legal work that the lawyer was designed to do. So there's that. But what has yet to be described to anyone is exactly how that case can be reinvigorated, brought back to life like Frankenstein's monster because of some connective tissue yet to be explained that Alvin Bragg claims will demonstrate that Donald Trump was guilty of a felony. It is not illegal to pay off someone to be quiet so that it doesn't come out before your presidential contest is voted on. What you have to prove is another underlying crime that you are attempting to cover up. And you cannot demonstrate that any sort of federal election law violation occurred when Donald Trump's yet to be charged with any of that and has certainly not been convicted. I have to believe that of the 12 jurors deciding this case, there are 2 lawyers on the jury, by the way. You have to believe that those lawyers, I don't care how anti-Trump they are, you have to believe they are disgusted by this behavior on the part of the prosecution. You want to believe that. You want to believe that all 12 of the jurors are wondering why the hell they're there. Remains to be seen. Dangerous game trying to figure out what a jury's thinking in the midst of a trial. It's 2:19 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back after this. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy, and, I'm so excited about grilling season, mainly because I've got Savory Spice on my side this year. Savory Spice makes everything easier in the kitchen because they provide you incredible spice blends and different types of spices, not just from here local, but all over the United States of America and the world. And those spices are designed to up your food game, and Savory Spice is good at what they do. Now, I love that they are local, and I would love for you to shop at Savory Spice the next time you need spices, either in Franklin or in Nashville, and I'll tell you about those store locations in just a moment. They can make so much of your cooking easier with some of the options that they have for spicing up their game, like the Spice and Easy blends. They have spice mixes available for you, things like Mediterranean dill risotto. They have taco soup. They have incredible buttermilk ranch, for example, that makes the most delicious ranch on planet Earth. Thank you to Savory Spice for some of those incredible flavors. And all you need, milk and sour cream, and you put these spices in there, and you've got your homemade ranch for your next party. It's right there for, Korean barbecue pork. That's another great example. A little sweet with a touch of heat. And they tell you exactly what to shop for. They tell you how many people it feeds. They tell you how many minutes it takes to prepare. All available for you at Savory Spice. So they take the novice and they turn you into an experienced cook. You'll get a lot of thumbs up at the dinner table tonight if you go by Savory Spice. Go to Savory Spice, 2 locations to serve you. One's in L&L Market in Nashville. The other just off the square in Franklin. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Savory Spice.
More testimony coming out of the Donald Trump hush money trial. We now know of another tornado that was confirmed during last week's severe weather outbreak. And we've got some news out of Microsoft. 2:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Mac Maury, don't go anywhere. I need to ask you a real quick question. Thank you for those headline previews, by the way. We can't wait to hear more about those things at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What do you know about armored MMA?
Yes. Did we have John on?
John made the call. Yes, he did.
Good.
And explain to me your experience with John on the phone on the Chris Hand show. I mean, what was discussed? I don't know. I don't know what's real, what's fiction. I don't know what to believe, what not to believe.
Yeah, we talked to you, I think, about this a few weeks ago, maybe over a month ago.
Did you?
On the cross. We talked about it. It was very quick, and we just talked about how...
Okay. Well, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's like what it sounds, man. I mean, this is like medieval. They get in whole armor, and they fight each other. 1v1.
And John wants us to do that.
Yes, you and Chris Hand.
Well, I think he mentioned you, too.
He did mention me. He has mentioned me. He has. I'm mentioning you and Chris, but he has mentioned me.
You're not mentioning you.
I am not mentioning me.
I'll fight Chris Hand in the squared circle, as they say, in armored MMA when we get you and Bel K mano a mano.
Yeah.
As the midday producer battle. And then Dan Mandis can take on Brian Wilson. It'd be like David and Goliath.
Give him a slingshot. Me and Bell would be, a size disadvantage for me as well. I'd maybe lose some of my quickness with the armor.
What do you think, Kay?
What do you think, Bell?
He's not.
He's not. Yeah.
Is he choosing not to participate in that?
I want to say something, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to let him fade into the woodwork and leave it at that.
Me? What would your weapon of choice be, Bell? Because I'm coming at you with a mace, and it's over.
Oh, I'm probably a high-powered rifle.
No, that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're promoting.
Anybody that fights fair is an idiot.
Yeah, but they train. They do the whole thing.
How heavy you think one of those maces would be? Yeah, that's the
a real one.
It's like a stick with a chain and the ball with the things on it.
Probably 40 pounds.
You think?
With most of it being in the ball.
Maybe 25, but yeah, 40 probably on the high end, depending on how big the mace. And I remember, if I remember correctly, I think John said the armor is adding a good 60 pounds. So it's a workout.
Well, I agreed that I would get into the ring with Chris Hand if John convinced Dan Mandis to just. I tell you what, I'm gonna shift gears here because what I said was convince Mandis to get in the ring, but everyone knows that that's never, ever, 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 ever going to happen.
He's not going to be able to convince him to leave his house.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is that John? If you can convince Dan Mandis to just come to the show,
yes.
Then I will get in the ring and I'll put on whatever you want me to put on and I'll do whatever you need me to do. For charity. For charity, obviously. So there's my offer to John. All right, I just wanted to make sure John was on the up and up when he said that he had talked to you about this. I didn't remember talking about it, so maybe we did. Speaking of talking about things, I've teased and failed to talk about the Jerry Seinfeld commencement address at Duke. Guys, there is no functional difference between, or at least there's none that I have had explained to me in a way that makes sense. I understand that there are people that are very concerned with Palestinian people being killed. But talking specifically about the students on college campuses around the United States of America, I defy you to explain to me the difference in being pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas, and by extension, anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. No better example than Jerry Seinfeld and his appearance at Duke and the walkout that ensued. Seinfeld is a supporter of Israel. Seinfeld is Jewish. And while Jerry Seinfeld has, kind of steered clear of any sort of controversy, it's almost as if it is okay for you to not agree with liberals as long as you remain silent about these matters. But if you have the audacity, Michael Rappaport is experiencing this as well. If you have the audacity to speak your mind in the same fashion that they're speaking their mind, suddenly you're the pariah. You're the evil one that must be destroyed. Freedom of speech stops then. That is what cancel culture is all about, is it not? These same individuals that scream and claim to believe in freedom of speech, once they recognize that there are differences of opinion about these very serious matters, they are shocked and dismayed and want to squash all of those differences of opinion. So Jerry Seinfeld was introduced by college president Vincent Price and was immediately drowned out by chants of Free Palestine. The cries came from some of the soon-to-be graduates seated on Brooks Field, as well as folks in the surrounding rows of Wallace Wade Stadium, which is the Duke University Stadium where the campus graduation ceremony was going on. Some of these students then stood up and obviously they were prepared for this moment, unfurled Palestinian flags. How about you unfurl the United States flag? How about you unfurl the Star-Spangled Banner? How about you respect the fact that your education came for one reason, and that is that men and women who came before you sacrificed to guarantee the freedoms that you had to have that education happen. Does it not tick anybody else off? You don't have to disagree, or rather, let me say it again. You don't have to agree with the policies of the United States of America to agree that this is the greatest country on God's earth. And we are raising a generation of people that have been taught to hate this country. And I beg of you to tell me what country is greater. You run around this nation and you scream, queers for Palestine, they would slaughter you. If you were standing in front of Hamas and declared your homosexuality, they would slaughter you. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you? You are supporting a group of people that would kill you when they had the opportunity to do so. And I'm sorry for screaming. I am passionate. And I'm disgusted at the hypocrisy on display by so-called learned individuals. Sometimes freedom is gross. That's what I thought when I saw Jerry Seinfeld. You go, Jerry. We'll be back in a moment.
"32 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 71 degrees, got light rain around Nashville. No storms expected today, but it is going to be a wet week and with chances of storms really on and off all week. Full weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. At the New York hush money trial of former President Trump, his one-time fixer testifying that Trump was determined to stop stories of his alleged affairs from getting out ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Dave Packer reports.
With the prospect of the story of an affair between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels going public ahead of the 2016 presidential election, Michael Cohen testifying Trump told him women are going to hate me, adding guys may think it's cool, but this is going to be a disaster for the campaign. Cohen said that Trump directed him to purchase Daniels' story to keep it from getting out. Cohen adding that Trump requested he delay the payment until after the election to avoid paying it outright.
Here in Tennessee, we now know of a sixth tornado confirmed to have touched down here in the Volunteer State during last week's severe weather outbreak. The National Weather Service says an EF1 tornado with 105-mile-an-hour winds touched down 85 miles south of Nashville near Ardmore, traveled more than 6 miles, ending southwest of Fayetteville. Its path was 1.5 times wider than a football field. No injuries were reported, only sporadic structural damage and downed trees occurred. And the former wife of Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates resigning from their foundation. Alex Stone.
Melinda French Gates says she is resigning as co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation effective next month. Posting on X, French Gates says it comes after critical thought and reflection and that it's time to move on to her next chapter. As part of an agreement, she'll get $12.5 billion to commit to work for women and girls. 3 years ago, she and Bill Gates announced their divorce. In a separate statement, Bill Gates says he is sorry to see her leave the foundation.
And that is the latest news. Weather's on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
With all of the rain that has come through over the last week or so, and with more rain on the horizon, have you noticed a musty smell in your basement or your crawl space? If this is the case, I know who to call, and that person, or that company, I should say, is USS, United Structural Systems. USS, they always guarantee their best. They have been helping foundation repair, waterproofing issues. They're the company that you've trusted since 1994. And now, the company that you trust for your crawl space is offering mold treatment. It is perfect timing with all of the rain that we've had, with all of the humidity that we have and will have over the spring and summer months. Maybe you've noticed some musty smells in the basement. Maybe you have respiratory issues or increased allergies and you don't know why. If you have mold in your crawl space, mold spores travel up into the home, into the air that you breathe. Turn your crawl space into a healthy space with United Structural Systems complete microbial growth treatment. They don't just treat the mold, they treat any type of growth that could be eating away at your floor joists. If you have moisture in your crawl spaces, then you need to have it removed. It is called the RTE solution. Remove, treat, and encap. Let's find out more about this by going to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Right now through June 30th, get $500 off the purchase of any RTE mold treatment from USS. Call now before the humidity begins to increase and the mold in your crawl space gets worse. USSTN.com, USSTN.com, or 615-488-7855 for USS. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy and the Tennessee Men's Clinic is available for you gentlemen who are looking to alleviate the low energy that you've been experiencing maybe months, maybe even years. Let's discuss. It's all about energy levels, right? Energy can affect so many aspects of your life, whether it's going to the gym and keeping up in that direction, whether it's working in the yard, helping out the family on projects, or whether it's bedroom activity. These energy levels can impact the way that you live your life. I want you to get back to a good energy level, get back to life again through Tennessee Men's Clinic. Now, guys, I know that, it's not a subject that we bring up quite often if you're experiencing a lack of, let's just call it motivation or drive in the bedroom, but it is a fact that it impacts half of the men in the listening audience at some point in their lives. And I want you to get the relief that you deserve. I want you to get back to life again, and the Tennessee Men's Clinic can do just that. Their qualified urologists can get down to business. They can identify what is causing the issue, and then they can solve said issue. That's what it's all about, getting back to life again. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com to find out more, or give them a call today and schedule an appointment. 2 locations to serve you, one's in Cool Springs, the other in Midtown Nashville. 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy. Winding down a Monday edition. Before we go, we'll get to more of your telephone calls, and we'll get to Brian Wilson, find out what he has on tap for the drive this afternoon with Brian Wilson on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In the meantime, Boardwalk Empire star Steve Buscemi has been attacked by a maniac in New York City. Seems that no one is safe on the streets of the Big Apple, not even beloved actor and Brooklyn native Steve Buscemi. Buscemi, 66 years of age, was strolling through Kips Bay last week. I don't know where that is. I assume it's in Brooklyn somewhere. When a brute walked up and, according to the New York Post, struck the Boardwalk Empire star in broad daylight, one of the latest in a string of unprovoked assaults in the 5 boroughs. The actor suffered swelling to his face and left eye, was taken to Bellevue Hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, the assailant, you know what happened to him? Nothing. You know why? Because he went away. He took off. It is reported that Buscemi is okay, appreciates everyone's well wishes. Incredibly sad for what has happened to him while walking through the streets of New York. Cops said the random attack happened at 11:48 in the morning, Wednesday morning, on 3rd Avenue. It's happening all over that city. It's happening all over major American metropolitan areas in this country, and it's not by mistake that the prosecutors that exist in these communities have no interest in prosecuting the crimes. And if you want to believe that it's not here in the city of Nashville, that these types of assaults are not happening in our community, I'm sad to report you need to think again. Metro Nashville police are saying that they need the public's assistance in identifying a man who sexually assaulted a woman in Vanderbilt Medical Center garage, in a parking garage there. You may have seen this story over the weekend on the news. I want to relate it to you, if not, and give a description of this scumbag so that we can get him in custody. A female employee of Vanderbilt University Medical Center said she saw a suspicious man pacing in the east garage on 21st Avenue South at around 2:15 Saturday afternoon. According to police, when she tried to leave, the man grabbed her from behind. The man reportedly choked the woman and threatened to kill her if she made a noise. As they struggled, he allegedly forcibly fondled her, and thank God, and thank this, whatever she had within her heart and whatever she had coursing through her veins at the time that it happened, thank God that she managed to get away from him and escape. Who knows what would have happened to her? Police have surveillance photos of the man wanted for the incident. He is described as a white male, brown hair, beard and mustache, short sleeve shirt with the number 5 on the front, an orange 5 on the front. Anyone with any information is asked to call Crime Stoppers, 615-742-7463. 7463. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you can find this photograph of this individual. I believe we had it up on the Super Talk platform of social media sites so that you can get a look at this fellow who needs to be apprehended, but quick. Jeff is in Hendersonville next up. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Welcome to the Murphy Show.
Hey, thank you. A couple of quick comments. Number one, I saw the funniest meme on Babylon Bee this morning. They said they finally ID'd the perp that organized and executed the Duke walkout, and it's a picture of Newman from Seinfeld running away.
That's fun.
Hello, Newman.
Newman.
So that's one. Number two, hey, look, kids are pretty stupid, but it's chilling to me, though, as, you know, they're acting as if these kids, you know, these college grads, which should know better and from Ivy League schools, right, that, you know, Israel would not be as deep into Gaza if October 7th hadn't happened. And what I find a little scarier, that they're okay with that. And Biden is withholding aid to Israel. Do you know how many lives this is going to cost? So that's
well, and this false, and I haven't gotten into it today, Jeff, and maybe I'll dive deeper in it tomorrow. The liberals came up with a great false equivalency over the weekend because they say Ronald Reagan withheld F-16 fighter jets to the Israelis as a way to convince the Israelis to go soft on the Palestinian Liberation Organization in the mid-1980s.
Remember, though, at that time, our alliance with Israel was more moral. Now it's strategic. It's
right.
grave. It's a grave misstep.
Well, and there were other factors involving Lebanon and other countries in that region.
Right.
I mean, it was a completely different conflict, but they rely on the stupidity of the general population in trying to compare the two, saying, well, Reagan did this. Biden's only taking a page out of the Reagan playbook, which is not true at all. Joe Biden is worried. You know what, I heard this said over the weekend, and I wish I could remember who said it because I don't like taking credit for things that I don't come up with. But you'll appreciate this, Jeff. You know, Joe Biden is actually interested in a two-state solution. His two-state solution is Michigan and Minnesota.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
it's scary.
I mean, it is disgusting. And we do not have to put boots on the ground. We do not have to spend toil and treasure from the American Treasury in order to support our allies in the Middle East in a way that will effectively end this conflict. You need to speak up forcefully, and you should speak up loudly and clearly about why the United States of America defends Israel's right to exist and why we defend Israel post-October 7th. Let me remind you, if you want a ceasefire in Gaza, if you want a ceasefire in the Middle East, we had a ceasefire in the Middle East. Bell, would you like to guess when we had a ceasefire in the Middle East ongoing?
I feel like I just got asked a trick question, so I'm afraid to answer it.
October 6th.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
It was kind of a trick question. So your spidey senses were dead on. We had a ceasefire in the Middle East. It was on October 6th, 2023. Who broke that ceasefire? Hamas. Who supports Hamas? 80% of the Palestinians. Now, I understand innocent people are innocent people, and people can have 80% of the Palestinians support what amounts to a terrorist organization who engaged in an act of terrorism that led to the deaths of, by some accounts, 1,500 people. We still have hostages. Where are the calls for the release of the hostages? I tweeted over the weekend. Y'all remember Boko Haram? It was 2014. Now, this is off the top of my head, and so if I get any of these details wrong, I apologize. But if I recall correctly, it was 2014. Boko Haram invaded a school in northern Africa and took over 200 young girls in school hostage because they disagreed religiously in their radical Islamic mindset. They disagreed with the education of women. And so this school had been closed down because of security concerns, and it was reopened so these young ladies could take finals and then leave for the rest of whatever they would call it, the semester, the session, the summer, whatever it was. And they were taken captive. Remember the social media, bring back our girls? Remember that? Michelle Obama standing there with a little, bring back our girls. All the Hollywood elitists, bring back our girls. Now, at the time, I remember making a mockery of this social media movement because smiling and holding up a sign that says hashtag bring back our girls is going to do absolutely nothing. And guess what? It did absolutely nothing. They never brought back the girls. You don't hear much about that, do you? Over 100 of those girls are believed to still be in captivity. Many of them have been killed. Some have escaped. Most of them are still in captivity. Bring back our girls. Joe Biden has declared that he's holding back sending necessary munitions to the Israeli friends in the Middle East because he doesn't want Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF to do what is finally necessary to eradicate. You can't do this 80%. You have to finish it. Otherwise, it's going to grow back. And you'll be doing this again 3 years from now. Where are the and 2482 says, Matt, the hostages are gone. Sad to say. Then we need to kill every SOB that killed them. The only thing these people understand, they understand death. They don't understand compromise. They don't believe in ceasefires. And I don't believe that all of the hostages are dead, by the way. Where are all the Hollywood types to scream, bring back our hostages? Why aren't we talking about that instead of demanding ceasefires on college campuses? It is just infuriating. I'm going to calm down, and I'm going to hand off to Brian Wilson in just a moment. Let's find out what Brian has to say about all of this right after this on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 2 minutes until the top of the hour. Matt Murphy Show, winding down. The drive about to crank up. By the way, for those asking, I do have a thought on the possibility of the impeachment of Joe Biden over some of this Israeli stuff, and maybe I'll share it with you tomorrow. I did not get to it today because Brian Wilson is with us, and he's going to tell us what's happening on the drive this afternoon. Hope you had a great weekend, Mr. Wilson. You know where they were not seen? Like a quarter mile from Providence Mall in Mount Juliet, where all the light pollution prevented us from actually seeing. Yeah. And I just looked it up. A jillion is an official term. A jillion matters. It means an infinitely large number of cicadas in Watertown at Brian Wilson's Wilson Manor. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, here comes Mac Murray with the news and the drive after that on Super Talk.